Great day, everybody. Welcome to the Unlimited Podcast. This is episode 2. You guys might hear some beautiful thunder, some beautiful lightning and rain in the background. We are in North Carolina, to be exact. And it's been a hot week. I'm not gonna lie. We have definitely needed the rain that is coming last night as well as today. You know, it's interesting because this particular week with the temperatures and things like that, it made me think about the relativity of weather in life in the sense of some days it's going to be going really good. The sun is out. It's a lot of movement. And some days you got to just sit back, relax, go inward, and you have to water yourself. And it's all relative to life. But anyways, today's episode I'm so excited about. And You know, oftentimes I get a lot of DMs about, you know, what makes you want to go or why did you change? And there's a lot of many reasons, and it's a lot of layers to it to be if I'm being honest. But I want to start in a space of about 5 years ago. I'd say about 6, 7 years ago, but 5 years ago more than anything. Man, I just got so tired and exhausted of the drugs and the alcohol and the women, and obviously this was before me and my wife got married. But it was just a dark space for me, where I felt like, man, it was I constantly had to stay distracted. I had to stay distracted, whether it was, women, like I said, drugs, alcohol, just the things, getting money. I felt like I needed to be distracted so I could avoid the things that I needed to face within myself. And today I had one of my mentor calls, and me and my guy, we were speaking about that, about how right now in the world, there's so many people utilizing their time with distraction. Oftentimes what we realize is when we distract ourselves is because we're running away from something, whether it's a fear or insecurity, a past trauma, a failure. And what I realize is I subconsciously, through much of my life, put myself in uncomfortable situations just to show myself and possibly others that I could thrive in these uncomfortable situations. Until I got to the space where I realized I want to change this, and I want to put myself in uncomfortable situations on a day to day basis, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, so I don't have to wait for life to do it for me or to me. That was life changing. But to go back to what I was saying, about 5, 6 years ago, I remember we were traveling, me and a couple of the guys that I was hanging out with at that particular time. Now, not a shot to these guys. These guys were great guys. These guys was guys that I was hanging around that I thought at the time were great guys because we all aligned in the same things: girls, drugs, women, money. That was the thing, understandably. So, but at the time, I remember we were leaving one of these cities like LA or New York. I don't even remember, but we had just got done partying the night before. I'm talking about we went crazy in the club. We done spent thousands of dollars, bought bottles, did all these things, and beautiful, hanging out with beautiful women and all these, what we thought were beautiful women because it was just so external. Everything was so external. You understand? Sometimes in life you can think that something is beautiful. You spend all this time partying, buying the watches, buying the cars, being with the quote unquote beautiful women, that everything is external. It looks good on the outside, but there's no real thing on the inside. And that's how I felt. I felt empty. I got to the airport, and from the outside looking in, you would think, man, this dude is living it up, from Instagram, he got the new chains, the new watches, the new cars, all these women is loving his music, and he's traveling, and they going in these houses and that houses, and man, I was miserable. I was in one of the darkest spaces that I think I ever was in. So fast forward, we get to the airport the next day. This is after a week of just balling out. You know what I mean? Balling out. I get to the airport and I'm hungover. And I grab my food and I sit down and I'm just grabbing I'm eating bullshit at the time. So I'm eating burgers. I'm just everything is a compound effect of just negative weighing me down massive. I always tell people God is vast and the opposing energy is it's massive. So I sit down, I look up, I see a father, I see a wife, I see about 3 children. And it's still very vivid in my mind. And sometimes I have to remind myself of this actual day. So I swear I'm not adding in the lightning and thunder in the background if y'all can hear it. This is like a real thing that's happening. So I get there, I sit down. Wow. I get there, I sit down. That's powerful outside is happening right now. Maybe I'm releasing something. Maybe some other people are releasing something today too. Let's do it. We here. We don't run from it. So I sit down, I see this family, and they're so happy. They're so happy. The father looks like an amazing father. The wife, she looks like an amazing wife. The kids are happy. They're running around. They're very happy. And I just remember feeling so empty. And this was before my marriage, so I already had 2 children already, by 2 different women. And I wasn't a good father in my eyes. I mean, I paid child support. I picked them up every other weekend. I bought them shoes. I cut their hair. I bought them video games on their birthdays. I thought that this was the thing. I thought I was doing good, And my kids, they were living an hour away, and so I was going to pick them up. And I always was like, well, I'm a single guy. I'm a bachelor, so I'm just living how a single man does. And I remember seeing this family, and I saw happiness like I never saw it before. And at that particular moment, that was the moment I realized this isn't what I want anymore. I didn't want it anymore. I had did it. I'm in my mid 30s now, so I had did this from about, I'd say 18, 17 until 28, 29 years old. At some point, we have to change, or else they call it if you want to cook a frog, the best way to cook a frog. This is a funny thing, right? They say you slow cook them. You slow cook them. What does that mean, Jiaani? That's you put a frog in some warm water, and at first it feels so good to the frog. They're swimming around, they're like, oh, this is comfortable. And all you got to do is just slowly but surely, day by day, just turn it up little by little. The frog doesn't even know they're getting cooked. They have no idea. And that's how I was living my life. I didn't even know I was getting cooked from left to right. I had no idea. Spiritually, emotionally, financially, I had no idea. Until I decided to quit alcohol. I decided to quit smoking weed, and it was layers, you know what I mean? I don't knock nobody who does these things, but it was a lot of layers in this. And as I started to release these things, so much started to come out of my pores in the sense of like just being miserable. And I was upset with my mom and my father and this person and that, but I was blaming everybody, because it was easier for me to blame everybody than to look at myself. And looking at myself has been some amazing work, because then you begin the real work. And I urge anyone right now out in the world, if you're going through something, just start the work. Dive into it. Read a page a day. Go running. Go exercise. Start having good conversations. Watch good things on the television. If you're going to watch TV, listen to good quality things. Try to deposit good quality into you. So, here I am today, married, 5 years. I see the growth in my children. I see the growth in the relationships of my children and myself and my wife, and as well as their mothers. My businesses that I've started, and just in general in life and who I am, and I feel much more lighter. So I urge you right now, if you're going through something, really define what it is and why you're going through it. And now, why is it that you want to change? Or you can be like the frog and get slow cooked. And before you know it, you're 40, 50, 60, 70 years old, and life didn't turn out how you wanted it to. And I don't want that for anybody. So I urge you, man, stay focused on what it is and be definite on your purpose. I know my purpose, and I know what me and my wife and my family speak about, and the direction that we want to go in life. And I think essentially is really just to continue to push yourself into the highest version of yourself. Let's really stretch this thing and see how far we can go. And unfortunately, but fortunately, in this process, you have to get rid of the old habits and the old identity that you know as to be you if you want to make those changes as a human. So obviously, I have a mentorship for anyone who's looking to reach out and begin those changes. You can send me a DM or you can send me an email. We'll leave the link up here. But I really hope that this helps somebody more than anything, more than any of that. I hope that, it took for me to touch down a dark space in my life. And it was tough. It was really tough. And on the next episode, I'll go into some more details about what I was really going through at that time, because those feelings were very vivid. But anyways, this has been episode 2 of the Unlimited Podcast. I look forward to building the community and with the rest of y'all out there, man. Sending love to all my unlimited thinkers, my unlimited grinders. The world is yours. You got to really stay focused and be definite in your purpose. Don't look around so much and be so caught up in everybody else's lives and what they got going on, because you can often miss your blessing looking at somebody else's yard, not realizing that yours is already fertile. It's beautiful, okay? But you gotta water it. You gotta grow it. And you gotta decide, why is it that you want to change? Peace and love. Let's make this week great.